Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Women's Wednesday. I know it's a little bit of a late start, but I'm so glad that you guys could join us tonight. I've got Chelsey from Trail Hunter back to join me. I can't wait to touch base with her. And we've got Ben Burr, who's going to talk to us about his adventures and what he's been up to. Everybody, welcome Ben. Hi, Ben.
Hey, good to be here.
We're glad to have you. And Chelsey, it's good to see you again.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So tomorrow starts your official favorite season, right?
Oh, Halloween season.
Halloween's coming.
yes, that's my favorite. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I have a Jeep called Trail Hunter, and it's just kind of Halloween themed.
I love it. So Ben, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director for Blue Ribbon Coalition, and so I kind of spend every day of my life working to keep all the trails and camping spots and areas open where people like to go overlanding. And so for that reason, I've gotten pretty connected to the overland community. We've got some big things going on right now, and I wanted to come on and help everybody understand what's going on so they can be part of it.
I love it. So do you actually get to go out and do any of the trails or any overlanding yourself?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I am still in the market for a rig. I'm deciding how I want to land into the overland community myself. I currently just have a F-150 that I take out on the trails. I have a side by side, and I actually get out on the trail with a lot of other groups and people that a lot of times I just go join them as a guest. And the next week I'll be joining a group of first time sprinter van owners that are going to take a trip from basically Salt Lake City, Utah to Moab, but they're not going to spend any time on the pavement, and they're going to learn how to use their 4x4 capable sprinter vans and see what you can do in one of those and what kind of areas you can get into. And so I very much I love the overland community. I think that you are all building a really exciting new way to experience these outdoors, and I want to keep it that way.
I love it. Well, so anyone listening, Ben's looking for suggestions on what type of rig you should get and how to build it out. So, Ben, you're about to get blown up with probably messages later.
Good.
Yeah, I vote Jeep.
I see Toyota 4Runner. Sorry.
Maybe we should keep a tally.
We should. Yes, we get a tally going.
Jeep or 4Runner.
Jeep versus Toyota.
Yeah.
Let me know. And if I win the lottery or something, maybe I'll just get a sprinter van. But
there you go.
No, my husband wants one, and I'm just like, I can't do the van life. It's too much togetherness. I can't do it.
Bus life is better, anyways.
Right?
Yeah, my teenage daughters are really opposed to the idea of anything close to a van life or an RV, and the little kids are really excited about the idea. So we'll have to see.
I love it. We just got a Taxa Cricket little trailer. Have you seen those?
No.
No. I'll have to send you photos. It is a funky looking little trailer, but it is so cool. And they have the ability to go off road, but it's small. And so my kids have got a 13 and 10-year-old. Their beds are bunks that are overhead over our bed. So a 10-year-old likes to hang her foot down between the two beds and like, Mom, I can't touch you. But it's a really neat little trailer, and it's super lightweight with Jeeps that have, almost no tow capacity. It's still something that you guys could pull.
Oh, cool. That sounds really cool.
It's really neat. I'll send you some photos.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Check them out. The trailer game has gotten really strong in the last few years for this overlanding culture.
I love it.
For sure.
So my husband's chiming in. Jeep, no 4Runner, no Jeep. He has no opinion. So he drives the Jeep, and then I have the 4Runner. So it is very much, it's back and forth at my house.
Well, so you got all your bases covered then.
We do, yeah. So we're, we like them all. As long as they can go off road, we're happy.
Yeah, there you go.
So Chelsey, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, well, actually, I just got hired on at Blue Ribbon Coalition as like the marketing director. And so I've kind of been like taking over social media, posting a few things and doing a few things here and there, trying to get my, toe in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Ben's been helping along the way. And then other than that, I broke my Jeep. So that's in the shop right now, trying to fix that up, getting it ready for Trail Hero, which is the first week in October.
Okay.
So I have like a week and a half.
So you're running out of time.
Yes, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, but that's okay. I'll get it done and we'll get back out there.
So what did you do to the Jeep?
So well, long story short, at EJS, I beat the heck out of that thing, like literally trying to break my Dana 30. Didn't happen. And then I go on a night run with some friends and I go over the teeny tiniest little bump and I broke my spider gears and my side gears. And so I pulled those out. And so now I'm working on getting a locker put in front. So I'll actually have a locker for Trail Hero, which is kind of exciting.
That's exciting.
So wait, was this intentional? Was this like a way to get yourself an upgrade?
No, because I have axles. I have axles on order. And I spent a lot of money on my axles, and I'm like, I'm not spending any more, not a penny more, on this build. And then I go and break it right before a huge event. So
yes, she's actually saying that she did it on purpose just to buy new parts. She's just trying to say otherwise, so her husband doesn't get upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can edit that part out.
There you go.
Oh wait, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. It's forever.
Too late.
Oh well.
So tell us a little bit about the coalition. There's a lot of people who don't know about it. You said that you're working to keep the trails. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we've been around since 1987. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're one of the few groups that really fights to keep these areas and trails open through the court system and through litigation, administrative advocacy, and also legislative lobbying. And so there's a lot of groups out there that do the trail work and the volunteer work, and they're great. They're awesome. They've created a really strong culture and reputation for our community. But our group has always been the one that focused on these legal challenges. And as we know, there's a lot of legal efforts to shut these areas down. And we're there to kind of be the opposing force there and be there in the courtroom trying to keep them open.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you guys battling right now?
I'll let Chelsey start with that, because her first weekend on the job, I took her out to Moab. Why don't you tell Ashley what you were doing with me in Moab last weekend?
Yeah. So when Ben first hired me on, he was like, this is kind of what we're dealing with. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty serious. But you don't realize the severity of it until you really dig a little bit deeper and you really look at the maps of what they're trying to close. And Ben and I went even a step further, and we went to Moab last weekend. So we were there Friday and Saturday. We met with At Your Leisure TV, and they did like an interview, and that's going to air on Saturday. And so what we did is we basically just got our boots on the ground. We looked at our maps and we picked a line and we said, okay, we're going to go look at this one. We went and looked at that one. We documented things. We took lots of pictures. We did research to see if what the BLM is saying is true about these trails.
Yeah, so let's pause right there because we skipped the first step. The BLM is actually proposing to close 437 miles in Moab.
That's the important part.
There's a travel planning process where they're looking at all the trails in the area called Labyrinth Rims and Gemini Bridges. And so this is north of Moab, west of the highway. So if you're driving down to Moab from I-70, anything you look out on your right and see, we're talking probably 90% of the Easter Jeep Safari trails are in this area. Yeah. And with some of the plans they're looking at implementing, so the way the BLM does it is they'll look at 3 or 4 different alternatives of this is what we could do. In the most restrictive ones of those, they will be closing about 30% of the Jeep Safari trails, which are the really iconic trails to these really cool landscape formations, or there'll be challenging sandstone trails where you're testing the capability of your machines, or they're just what the overland community needs to be aware of is that they are closing what are a lot of the side spurs and pull-offs that go to these overlooks that are usually the dispersed campsites that are where you want to go with your overlanding rig to camp on public land for free in this Moab area. And if this plan moves forward with the most restrictive option, we will see dozens, if not hundreds, of dispersed campsites, some of the best ones in the world, closed. And my experience in this is that the overland community, if they're not already part of an off-road group, and a lot of them are, But if they're not, if they're just getting into this, they're not aware that this public land advocacy work happens.
Mhm.
And I don't see them usually showing up in the public comments that we see. We usually will get an archive of all the comments after the periods are over to see who's engaging. And the overland community has been noticeably absent. And so that's why we really want to publicize to them what's happening. So I think if they understood what was happening, they would get involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a point when we went on one trail and I forget what, we saw so many beautiful canyons. I forget the names of them all, but we were out overlooking, the canyon, and just right next to us, there's a fire pit. And then, next to that one, there's another campsite. There's another campsite.
With
and they're all
BLM
marked.
signs. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all marked. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what they want to close. And it's beautiful, beautiful campsites. I mean, you would be shocked going out there and seeing the view that these campsites had. And the BLM just wants to close them up.
Have they said why they're wanting to? Like, what's their end goal with this?
Yeah. So the purpose here is that they're in a legal settlement with a wilderness protection group.
Okay.
And none of the land in this area is a wilderness, meaning designated wilderness by Congress. There are groups who want it to be. And if you have all these roads in the area, you can't, it's not eligible to be designated as wilderness, and that's what they want. And so this legal settlement requires the BLM to at least come up with one alternative that would move this area into the direction of functioning more like a wilderness area. And a wilderness area is going to mean closed roads, no motorized access, very limited primitive camping. You have to come in by foot. And so if you're somebody who wants to overland into these iconic areas in Moab, that's a terrible alternative for you. You need to be challenging those closures. They'll oftentimes on each individual route, there might be another more specific reason that they're using to justify it, but that's the overarching goal. Okay. And why they're looking at all these closures. And there is one alternative that they call the OHV alternative that keeps most of the routes open. And so so what Chelsey was saying earlier, like we went out there, we have a map on our website that kind of includes all the GIS data from the BLM of what they're looking at. And if you were to go look at this map, toggle between the different alternatives, you'll see some of them are red. And if you find a red route on this alternative, and especially if it's one you've been to or an area you want to visit, we want you to submit a comment to the BLM to let them know to keep that route open. You have plans to go camping in that area. It's a high value area for you. And if we had hundreds or thousands of overlanders participating in that process, it would send a really strong signal to the BLM that they need to choose something besides that wilderness alternative that will close so much of this area.
Yeah. And even furthermore, too, you can customize your comment. If you've been to that location or plan to go to that location, let them know, because it has a little bit more substance to it than, just like a formal comment, I guess, right? But I'm saying that correctly?
So, well, on our website, we have like a comment tool where we've filled out some language you can use that are issues that we think the BLM needs to hear about, and you can use our language and submit a comment in like 30 seconds. We usually advise that people don't do just that. If this is an area that is on your list, you should go customize that content a little bit to reflect your own interest in the area, and the BLM will consider that more seriously than if they just get a form comment. But what we don't want is people to just not engage because they don't know how to do it, or they're not quite sure what to say or what the plan's proposing to do. So we've helped bring our analysis to the table, give you some ideas of the things we're looking at, and then go change it to be what you want. But definitely comment, make your voice heard to the BLM. It's an important part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are saying that the map you guys have on the website, it is interactive. People can go on there, look and see. Can you rattle off some of the names of the trails that they're looking at closing for people?
Why don't you tell them, Chelsey, some of the ones that you've ridden?
Okay, so we went to like Hell Roaring Canyon. We went to 7 Mile Rim, which also has a couple like spurs that kind of go off of smaller trails that are proposed to close. Hajo Canyon. Rusty Nails on that list. Help me out, Ben. What are the other ones?
There's Gold Bar Rim.
Gold Bar Rim.
We were looking at Mineral Canyon is another
Mineral
one that
Canyon.
that one you just drive halfway up the canyon and you get to some random spot and like, here's where the trail will close. There's a perfectly fine graded trail going up the canyon. And like from here on out, this is closed.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually we just uploaded a YouTube video about that. So you can go see it on the Blue Ribbons YouTube. I think it's BRC TV on YouTube. So you can literally see like where they just stop. It just stops right here. We're going to put a barrier here. And it's not like the road is overgrown, or it's old. It's graded. There's no trash. There's no trees in the way. It's perfectly fine. And they just chose like right there. That's where we're going to stop it.
Yeah, we didn't see any signs of like irresponsible use in these areas. It looks like people are just using the trails as they're there. And but it's one of those ones that could potentially be closed. And so we have some of our friends that really get involved in the Jeep Safari, and they've analyzed the trails, and it's about 30% of the Jeep Safari trails would be closed through these more restrictive alternatives. And so this isn't just, sometimes in this process, we'll see that they're closing a route that's just not getting used a lot is the most common justification. And I think that's a bad justification. I think we just all need to go use these routes more.
Right. Yeah.
But in this case, these are some of the most popular. These are world-class trails. There will be people who come from all over the world to overland into this area and get a picture of their rig out on one of these cliff edges overlooking the canyon country in Moab and the rivers and things. They'll be and those pictures will be in the backdrop of every business at an overland expo. If you go look, it's either Alabama Hills, which they already closed 70 of the sites in that area. That was the first area where I got really engaged and tried to keep the camping open, or Moab. And both of these areas are in there's a lot of conflict going on to try to close these camping areas. And we need the camping users to get really engaged and make their voice heard.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm one of those that hasn't been out that way yet. I have not gone. I know I have not gone completely west. Arizona's as far as we've gone so far. What are some of the trails that you guys would recommend that they're talking about closing?
Would you want to come to overland, or are you wanting to come to like really test the capability of your rig?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't go wrong. My favorite thing to do is to pick the least common trails. I'm usually out there off the beaten path. And if you see something that's going out to a canyon rim, you will not be disappointed. Yeah. And you'll find your own unique spot that you will not regret it. It'll be the awesome place to camp. That being said, Chelsey, why don't you tell her about some of the trails you've ridden, because you have a more capable vehicle than I do. So you've probably done some of these.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you should have seen Ben on 7 Mile Rim in his little side-by-side.
I got it done.
Yeah. He was like, I've never done this before. And he's like, me and my husband were like, you got it. Go.
Yeah, it's a stock side-by-side. I use it to just cover a lot of ground because I'm out there doing trail inventory work, not to go do these big obstacles and challenges. But it was capable enough. It got it done. But why don't you tell her, I mean, if Ashley comes to Moab, what should be on her bucket list?
Oh, well, I think the canyons, like the canyon view ones, are so beautiful. Like, even if you don't want to go to camp, you just have to go at sunset and go out and look like for miles, like forever out in the distance. And actually, when we were there was a thunderstorm rolling in, and way out in the distance, we kept seeing lightning strike. And all the kids were like, whoa, this is the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I would definitely suggest doing that. And then if you have the capability to camp there, to do that, because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity experience. And there were people camping there. We saw a couple of tents, not a lot of people, but we saw a couple tents and then maybe like one or two rigs out there camping. Okay. And then if you want to rock crawl, I got some rock crawl trails for you too. But Rusty Nail's a good one. And then 7 Mile Rim has some obstacles, but not as much as some of the other ones.
Okay. All right. Well,
and we actually did see somebody out there with a minivan.
Yes.
In one of these camp spots that was going to be closed. So you don't have to have any type of machine could really get you out into this area in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And this landscape will accommodate all levels of builds, all levels of skill, and there isn't a place you can go that you'll regret it. Every time I've gone exploring in this area, it's been, I need to get back to that spot again and spend some more time.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could talk about that minivan guy too. We were kind of reluctant, to roll up on his campsite, but we did because, we're trying to spread the word about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he comes out all hesitant and we're like, no, we're friendly, we promise. And we told him, did you know that this trail is going to be closed? And he had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he comes out here all the time. This is his favorite spot. They go stand up on the rocks over here to watch, the sunset. And he was shocked, and right away he was like, what do I need to do to stop this, and what do I need to do to spread the word and let people know that this is going to happen? And that experience kind of made it a little bit more real for me, because we were actually able to see someone out on this trail that is proposed to close.
Right. When do they anticipate closing them if you guys don't get enough support?
That's a good question. So the comment period ends on October 7th. And so
Okay.
the public can go make formal comment to the BLM. And the reason we strongly encourage that the gentleman we found in the minivan to comment is because he had a personal attachment to that specific trail.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if he were to go use our form on our website to make that comment, we would know that we have a user out there that cares about that trail. That helps us put that into our comment. And then the BLM knows there is a substantive movement around protecting that trail and all the other ones we include.
Okay.
Then they'll go and analyze all those comments, and that'll take several months. Like we've been waiting on some of these plans to get to the next phase for over a year, and that's not uncommon. It happens a lot. And so it'll be a while before we hear back from the BLM what they're going to do. And the next step will be their final choice. This is what we chose. And if we don't like the choice they made, and there are things they've closed that a lot of our members and supporters were strongly against that closure, that's when we have to start getting involved legally and challenge and appeal that decision in court, which we will do. We've already been doing that. Like the area where we were watching across the river where all the lightning was happening, that area is called the San Rafael Desert. And I've spent a lot of time out there because that was the first of these areas that they got done as part of this lawsuit. And so we're doing this in every area. They're actually analyzing 10,000 miles of off-road trails in Utah as part of this legal settlement. This Moab area is just one small piece of it.
Yeah.
And so our organization's involved in that. It'll be a 10-year process. And ultimately we want people to support us in that. We have a program called the 10,000 Plus Project, which is, you can join it for $5 a month. And that gives us the legal resources we need, the resources for me and Chelsey to go out to these areas and ground truth what's happening, document these trails, find these people out there that can help us tell the story of who's out using this land and why. And so that we have a really strong case we can make when it comes time to go to court if necessary.
Yeah.
So if you guys were to take it to court for the trails we've been talking about today, on average, how long would you think it would take to get that land reopened? Or have you been successful with it in the past?
It's a messy process. And so we're that San Rafael Desert area I mentioned is in litigation, but it was challenged by the wilderness groups, not us. We supported the plan they chose in that one. And so then they challenged it. We came in as what's called a defendant intervener to defend the BLM, and it went through the court system again. They reached a second settlement just on that area. And now we're going through this same process where we do public comment on just a portion of the routes that were contested. Okay. And so you'll see different rounds. It'll take multiple years for this to finally go into effect and be the new way things are. And it's good. It gives us time, but it also means people get exhausted by it or they tune out. And so that's always the challenge, is we need people to understand the gravity of this. If it even takes 3 to 4 or 5 years to play out, that's what it takes. And that's why, we've been an organization doing this since 1987. it's hard to just start up a nonprofit tomorrow that can go fight these fights and do it at that level, because it really matters that you have that multiple year history with these agencies and being involved in the fights. And so that's why we're there, why we take it seriously, and why we hired Chelsey, so that everybody can know the story of what's happening here, because it affects so many people.
Yeah.
Well, and what about the people who they look at the situation and they see that you're talking about it could be 3 to 5 years before those trails are closed because of the back and forth communication with the BLM? Maybe they're not as motivated to chime in or make those comments because their train of thought is, it's 3 to 5 years from now, I'll have time to go hit it. Something's going to change. What would you say to them?
I would say go hit it. You definitely should go visit it while it's open.
That's what I was going to say too.
But don't let that be the reason you don't add your voice.
Yeah.
And if you care about this issue in Moab, my experience with overlanders is they don't tend to have one spot. The whole overlanding experience is, I'm going to build a route that goes from Oklahoma down through Arizona and up through California and into Idaho, down through Montana, hit Utah, then go through Colorado, and then I'm home. And it's a 2-week thing, and you want to go see all these highlights. We fight for these camping plans everywhere. Yeah. And so as soon as this Moab one's done, there's a plan that's open right now in Colorado, in Chaffee County, which is by Buena Vista. And they've been closing a lot of the camping in that area. And there's these planning processes happen across the Forest Service, across the BLM all the time. If you're a member of our organization, if you're tuned into what we're doing, there's going to be a lot more places where you can make your voice heard, and this can be something you become an advocate for, because you're choosing this lifestyle. You should also choose to defend it and make your voice heard when any of these plans come up for comment, so the BLM knows you're paying attention.
Right.
Yeah. If it was just Ben and me and the organization fighting for this, and without the voice of everybody else, like, we would just fail every single time, because it matters. It really, truly matters.
No, I agree. But, there's always those that think, I'm just going to go hit it before it closes and it'll be okay.
My experience with this Moab area, you'll go hit it and you'll want to come back.
Exactly.
It's that awesome. Like, if you are a one-timer at Moab, then you didn't do Moab right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I haven't even gone yet. I've got to go. Yes.
Well, we do have an opportunity for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We have a sweepstakes right now that is the fun. It's basically a sweepstakes where if you donate to BRC, you get entered to win an all-expense paid trip to Moab.
Okay.
I think you have 9 days to enter now.
Yeah, it's a $2,000 travel stipend, free hotel night that you might not need if you come in your overlanding rig. And then we have a lot of the outfitters and guided tour companies in the area that will offer free tours if you want to do that. And they all know the area really well, and they'll roll out the red carpet to whoever is our winner and make sure they go get an awesome Moab experience. So
yeah.
Whether you want to enter, or if you're listeners, if you're in the same boat that you've never been to Moab, this is a chance to enter, support our legal efforts in this area, and also possibly win an all-expense paid trip.
And that's even exciting. If you don't win, you should still go.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have to go back on. So how do people enter? How does anyone enter for the sweepstakes? Where would they go?
We'd have to send you the link. So if there's some show notes or things that you do when you publish this after the fact, or the comments in the live feed, we could definitely give you a link to that sweepstakes so you can share it to your audience.
Yeah, definitely. Send me the link and I will add it to the comments after the show. Lee's jumped on and just says we all need to go to Moab. I agree.
Let's just get a big overlanding group together and just hit up all of these trails.
Philip says that he's wanting to go back. So guys, plan it. Let me know. And we'll all roll out and just make a big group from Oklahoma go.
Isn't there an overlanding something going on this weekend, Ben?
It's next weekend. It's more of a sprinter van one though. And so I'm going with a big group of the sprinter van folks, which we like them too. We need their voice in this process as much as we need the minivan people.
Yeah.
I love that you guys keep referencing the minivan. Alex is saying, let's go. Alex is close, though. He's in Colorado. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty
Alex
close.
has no excuses to go. Alex, I just threw you straight under the bus. I'm sorry, hon.
Yeah, we need Alex to go out there and pick a spot, pick a red line, and go document what's there for us and fall in love with it and let the BLM know they need to keep it open.
Okay.
And if you do go, tag us on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever you see us at, because we would love to see people out here using these trails.
I'm going to have to find some more time off so I can go. I need my work to hire more people because right now we're too short-staffed that I can't take any time off.
No.
It's pretty bad, but that's okay. So again, tell people where, what are some of the trails that Alex has jumped up. We may or not be heading there this weekend. There you go. So Alex, you got to take some photos.
Yes.
You got to tag them. So who do they need to tag on Instagram?
Just at Blue Ribbon Coalition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll put that in the comments later too.
Yes. And if you go on the Blue Ribbon's website, which is sharetrails.org, and you can click on like a drop-down menu, and it will bring you to the maps, and you can see with your own eyes which trails are going to close.
Okay.
Yeah, which is another link we can put in the comments. But for the folks that are heading out there, it's like we said, it's that area that's just west of the highway going into Moab, anywhere north of Moab to basically the town of Green River. So it's that whole area. And we've got 10 Mile Wash. You have all these overlooks out there. I think one's called Dead Man Point. There's Mineral Point, Spring Canyon Point, Dead Man Springs, Spring Canyon Bottom, Hell Roaring Rim, Mineral Canyon Rim. All of these areas, if you have, like I promise you, you've seen pictures of these areas. And if you get a single overland magazine, if you follow any overlanders on Instagram, you've seen these areas, and those are the areas they could potentially close through this plan. And basically what you want to look at is there's going to be the main roads that go in. And a lot of times these are really well graded, maintained. Sometimes they even put a coating on them to keep the dust down because you get a lot of traffic. Like we actually passed a lot of trucks pulling river rafting boats out because some of these are the roads that get down to that river level of these canyons. They're not going to close the route that goes to the river boat launch. It's the side spurs that go off of that. And if you've never had that experience of taking some unnamed side spur off of a main road in these backcountry Moab areas and then seeing where that goes, you haven't overlanded yet. You just haven't.
Yeah, actually,
it's what it's all about.
Yeah, we took a little side trail on our way to a 7 Mile Rim, and it actually said dead end and pointed, that way. And so we went on it, and we ended up in this huge, like, amphitheater. I can't even describe with my words how beautiful it was. It was just, you were surrounded by red rock. You were in like this big, huge canyon, and the kids were there. They were out playing up on the rocks. And when they came down, they were like, "This is the best day of our life." It was amazing. It was some of the little trails like that you wouldn't think to go down because it says dead end are some of the most beautiful. Right.
I love it. Well, Alex is saying that they are going to go check it out, and they'll make sure to take some photos and tag you guys. Awesome. So tell everybody again the website, where they can find everything, the where they can follow you guys on social, and how to tag.
Yeah. So sharetrails.org is the website. On our homepage, there's an updates section. You scroll down there, we have the Moab action alert stickied on there, so you'll see it. It's titled, "Don't Let the BLM Close 497 Miles of Trails in Moab." We also have the Linktree links in our bios on our social media accounts, and that also features this action alert in our link in bio tool. So those would be the two quickest places you could find it if you need to go find this link.
Yes.
Sounds good.
And then on Instagram, you can tag just at Blue Ribbon Coalition. And when you tag, it shows up like in my messages and stuff, so we'll be able to see it. And usually we reshare, trying to spread the word and everything.
Okay, so when does everyone need to comment by?
October 7th is the final
Yes,
day.
October 7th. There in the past, there's been times where we've asked for extensions on these. Often the BLM will give those. We've found some reasons. We're just doing our due diligence on them right now, but we'll probably ask for an extension on this one as well. I think because these areas are so popular, we found some mining claim owners that weren't notified, which makes me believe that there are other folks that weren't notified, and they should be. And so if that's actually happening, that people that should be notified haven't learned about this, then the BLM needs to give us more time and we'll notify them.
Right.
But plan on October 7th being the closing deadline on this one. And you can still submit a comment to the BLM anytime, is how this legal process works. But if you want to be part of a legal challenge to this, then you have to do it during the formal period. And so we want everybody doing it during the formal period because you never know whose witness statement and comment is going to actually create that, just add to any legal challenge. And I've always, and that's actually happened. There's been times where I've either reached out to our members who have made substantive comments to the BLM and said, hey, we need you to sign a witness declaration about what you said in your comment. And they've been willing to do it. Or I'll find people when they know about these areas. We'll call them to get that knowledge from them to put in our comment. And so it is an important window. We got to make our voices heard.
Okay, perfect. Well, anyone watching, please go out there, go on Blue Ribbon Coalition's website, and make your comments. Let your voices be heard. Also, tell everybody about your sweepstakes one more time.
Yeah, so it's a free 3-day vacation in Moab. If you make a donation to BRC, you enter to win, and the donation amount determines the number of entries you get. It's done through a program called TapCat, so it's managed through software to kind of make sure that the drawing happens in an official way that's fair and randomized. And you get a $2,000 travel stipend. You get a 2-night stay at a hotel, and then we have 14 outfitters and tour operators that do jet boat tours, the boat tours, ATV tours, Jeep rentals, ATV rentals, and you can fill your itinerary with their services if you want, or you can go explore with your own rig and just use the cash stipend to get you out there. But we just had all these partners that wanted to help promote this and promote the legal work we do there. And so that's what that is. The deadline is September 29th for the sweepstakes. Okay. We'll be drawing the winner on October 7th. We'll probably be down at Trail Hero when that date happens. We'll probably do it at Trail Hero.
Yeah. That's exciting. Well, Chelsey, Ben, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me tonight, sharing all of this. I really hope that this, helps bring more attention to your causes and to keep those trails open. Thank you guys again. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Yeah, yes, thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
All right, bye.
Bye.
See ya.